The hurricane is coming. You can feel it in the air. Anxiety starts to build. Pressure mounts. What is your plan of action? How will you navigate the storm? That's how it feels when you encounter a challenging supply chain crosswind. You seek to find the eye of the hurricane. That is where we live. Dunavant. Logistically speaking, we're at the center of it all.
With more than 60 years of experience in logistics innovation, Dunavant is a family-owned business that has the knowledge to ensure global and domestic shipping practices are efficient and effective. Dunavant generates supply chain proficiency with outstanding, attentive, and expedient customer service. For more information, visit dunavant.com.
1, 2, 3, go!
All right, everybody, happy Tuesday afternoon. Welcome once again to another episode of Great Quarter Gals. I'm your host, Kaylee Nix. Here alongside me is Grace Sharkey. Grace, excited to get another episode because we missed you last week.
I know. I feel like it's been a couple weeks since we've been able to actually do an episode together. So we're back, people. We're ready to roll.
We're back and better than ever. And last week, we actually had Melzy Wilson here from Dunavant, who is our presenting sponsor for this month. So thank you to the folks over there for their support of our show. And thank you for Melzy also for popping in the studio and giving the great interview that she gave. If you missed last week's episode, you can find it online on demand on tv.freightwaves.com. Just search shows, Great Quarter Gals, and it's the most recent one up there. But Grace, you're right. It's been a couple weeks, so let's kind of catch up. What's going on in the world of Grace Sharkey right now?
Oh, well, we got the Sirius radio show, which is just so much fun. You got to be a part of it too, and I've really enjoyed filling up those segments with some really fun content over the last couple weeks. And we have callers calling in now a couple times a week, so just steadily improving that too. And it's been really fun. We had a fun discussion with a driver yesterday on how to fix permits with Rachel Premack. So it shows you just what kind of weird conversations we can get into on the radio. And I'm glad that we're getting some really nice feedback from listeners as well.
I feel like radio is a lot more casual than the video, right? There's not as much pressure. You can kind of go off the cuff and say whatever you want. And I really felt that when I called in with you from San Diego talking about TIA. It was interesting because I think that's the first time that I've been interviewed on a FreightWaves platform. So it's a little flip of the script for me.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And yeah, I like to make it as casual as possible, especially that time frame. People are leaving work. I want it to be business. I want to update them on what's going on in the industry, but I also want them to enjoy the show and have it be a little bit of entertainment for them as well. So it's that fun juggling point of, maybe Jon Stewart or some of our favorite comedians out there that try to go between the news and comedy. That's the same way for me. I want to make it fun. I want to make it entertaining, but I want everyone to leave learning something at the end of the day.
So catch Drive Time with Grace Sharkey on Sirius XM 146. That's the Road Dog Network, 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock every single day right there on Sirius XM. Grace, let's get into today's finance story of the day. We just finished out the first quarter, starting to kick off earnings season. Some companies beginning to report. J.B. Hunt coming in strong, doing better than analyst expectations, and still seeing just this incredible demand. Let's break down their earnings report a little bit.
Yeah, and for this one, I did bring a prop, Kaylee, because I haven't got to show you this hat yet, but look at this thing. Isn't this the coolest hat you've ever seen?
You absolutely have to wear that. You have to wear that at Future Supply Chain. No questions asked.
Yeah, it's bedazzled. I mean, it's amazing, right? So, yeah, no, shout out to JB360 for the swag. That stuff's really cool. But again, you're right. An excellent, excellent quarter. And a couple things I want to note on this, right? We're in this period where we've talked about intermodal rates are starting to equalize themselves towards van rates. And what's interesting is you have a player in this industry who can easily help navigate that for shippers, right? So as shippers begin to reconsider rail and how that can be involved within their supply chain, JB's right there with the people that they need to make that decision and offer them that capacity. They just had that agreement and partnership with BNSF to add more containers and rail to their fleet. So I'm excited for that. And the second thing I wanted to point out too, which the wonderful Todd Maiden pointed out in his title, that small carriers could struggle, is that actually could be a good thing for JB Hunt. I mean, they have 360, right? And 360 is there to help carriers that are either within their network or outside of their network that are looking for good partners to find loads. If this offers them that opportunity to continue to scale their business and continue to stay, hopefully profit positive through this time. And when I was at MATS, I got to sit with a number of JB 360 employees and got to learn about exactly what the app offers to carriers. And I mean, there's some incredible fuel incentives. It shows them where there's places to sleep, places to rest at night. It gives carriers the opportunity to really continue to keep their business going during these times. So as they pointed that out, I thought it was funny. Like, they pointed that out within their earnings call, but at the same time, that's actually a positive for them because they do offer some type of service to those small carriers who might need help during these times.
And so let's break out some of the numbers from that earnings report because they did really, really well. They beat analyst estimates by about 35 cents, coming in with revenue per share. I believe it was $2.29 Monday yesterday after market close, which is good for them to beat analysts by 35 cents. That's a good call out.
Oh, yeah. They had a 7% increase in loads intermodal over the quarter, while everyone else within the Class 1 railroads fell during that time. Loads were down 1% year over year in January, but then went up 17% and 6% in March during the time where we started to see these falls in demand. So, we talk about excellent female leadership on this show week over week. And I know we talk about how much we love our girl Shelly Simpson over there, but the work she's done to really create this incredible multimodal entity at JB and the technology she's pushed behind it. This right here, this call, I think really showcased that work.
And on the earnings call as well, Shelly called out this performance for JB Hunt, saying that this demand is the strongest demand environment that she's seen in her 27 years there. So for someone in leadership to call that out and say, you know what, this market is great for us. It's incredible on the intermodal side for demand. And, they're just going to keep taking it to the bank is what it looks like.
Exactly. And the most upsetting thing that they had to say was the fact that small carriers are going to struggle. But once again, they've got an app there for that, right?
There's an app for that. I think there used to be an Apple commercial like that. So when it comes to earnings season, of course, Todd Maiden here at FreightWaves heads up our earnings coverage. You really can't beat earning coverage from Todd and his team. So head to freightwaves.com. We're going to be reporting on Q1 earnings for 2022 as they continue to come out. Grace, I want to now turn to our guest for the day because I think that this is someone that you've definitely wanted to talk to for a while. Emily, someone that I've wanted to talk to for a while as well. So we're excited to welcome Emily Weiser, who is the Senior Vice President of Integrated Sales at Redwood Logistics. Emily, thank you for joining us on Great Quarter Gals and for being here with us today.
Thank you, ladies. So excited to be here.
So let's just kind of get into yourself and your career with Redwood Logistics. Talk us through a little bit about joining Redwood, what you do there, and what you're involved in with the company.
Of course. So I've been with the company for about 20 years, which is, I try to say, like most of my life. But, I graduated from college. I was a journalism major, really had no idea what I wanted to do, but knew that I loved being in front of people. I was very personable. I loved talking and kind of gravitated towards the idea of maybe doing sales and paired up with Redwood. At that point, we were a TSG and, kind of the rest is history as far as how how long I've been there. But I've always been on their customer facing side, really putting the effort into how do we make our customers successful and how do we find the right solutions within our own organization to offer, and to put out there to shippers. And I love all the things that you guys were saying before this, right? Because there's a win for everyone and, focusing on the smaller companies, the mid-level companies, the smaller carriers, the larger carriers. I think trying to balance all of that is where I've found a lot of success and how I've kind of evolved within our organization. Currently, I sit on the Redwood platform services team, really focusing in on Connect and LPass, which are some of our innovate forward future thinking type things that we're selling here today. So I love it. I love everything about this company. I love the family environment. I love the way that we put customers first. So that's kind of how we've always looked at things. So I'm very excited to still be a part of this organization.
I love that you brought up LPass because honestly, it was one of my favorite announcements that you guys made last year. It's the perfect way of introducing this industry as a whole to this SaaS type of environment and how important integrations can be and how technology should truly be stacked within the industry as a
Right.
whole. For you, how have customers responded to this technology, and how has LPass worked with your customers and shippers since it released? I want to say it was October of last year.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, to be transparent, some people saw it and they're like, what is this, right? What is this new thing, this new future forward thinking astronaut on the screen type thing? So, but I think just the creativity behind it and the idea of trying to bring technology and logistics together and just really filling that void. So at Redwood, our thought is, how can we be an open ecosystem, right? How can we be that environment that helps customers find value no matter where, no matter what they're bringing to the table, no matter what we're offering, and kind of bringing and procuring in for them. So that's really where we thought that the gap could be filled. So we've had a lot of good responses. We actually just held a customer advisory board last week, specifically kind of rolling out the roadmap and what LPass looks like. And I think a lot of the feedback is this is needed, right? We want to be in kind of that agnostic world where we don't feel like people are force feeding us things. So I think we're in a good space. I think it's continuously evolving, and the partners that we're bringing into the fold, that's the other thing that I think is so important specifically about Redwood, is that we're really looking to make sure that it's a partnership, right? So there are possibly applications or different TMSs or different systems that you want to work with that maybe you haven't had the opportunity to, or you don't have the infrastructure to put that all together, and we're there to kind of bring that all in the fold for you, and vice versa, right? So a lot of these shippers have partners that they're already working with, so they kind of do the introduction for us, and it's kind of a bilateral referral there as well.
Emily, I like that mention about not force feeding people this technology that's coming out, because I feel like especially in times where freight tech is booming, there's something new every day hitting the market, right? And it's kind of like, see the shiny thing, come take it. How do you manage that from both a sales and a marketing perspective to generate interest around a new product like LPass, or interest around integrating something like that into an existing tech stack without making it feel like you're just shoving something else at the client or the customer?
I think we have to work on what is the best solution, right? We want to make sure that they're finding value. That's the most important thing, right? And you bring in all these systems and you need to ensure that you're getting some sort of ROI out of it. So it really just comes down to, how do we find the value together? So I know that there are going to be times where maybe this isn't your best option, right? I don't want to mention any sort of names, but there's so many different applications out there, like you said, and some of them are the brand new ones, and it's the shiny toy. Let's go after them. But maybe they don't actually do exactly what you need. So let us help you, let us educate you on maybe what the best solution is so you find that right value. So it comes down to the partnership, making sure that we're walking alongside each other and helping each other kind of understand the needs and then the solution on top of that.
I was sitting in a webinar the other day that talked about how a lot of, especially in freight tech, companies struggle with, they'll get a new customer, but they struggle to help them see the full offering of that. And something like LPass, right, where you can continue to add on. How do you work with your customers to make sure that you're not, onboarding them too quickly so that they're getting full value of every piece of technology that you can provide them?
So it's definitely evolving, right? So like you said, we just rolled this out last year, and there are different phases. And, we use Redwood Connect, which is obviously the proprietary middleware there that's plugging and playing all of these pieces. But it's our responsibility to make sure that we're marketing things correctly and that we're educating our customers. And, I keep going back to showing them the correct value. But I think to your point, it's our responsibility to make sure that when things change or when the product changes or when there's an upgrade or something moves along with the product, that we're, again, walking alongside our customer to get the best usage out of those things.
I love all the conversation about tech that we get to have on this show, but I also like getting to know our guests. Elpass, it's still the freight tech, but I also like to get to know our guests a little bit on a deeper level. And I know that you're involved in a bunch of stuff outside of just the Elpass side of things at Redwood. So let's kind of talk about your involvement with some of the social programs and some of the advocacy programs that Redwood participates in. What type of things does the company do, and where do you kind of fit into these different programs?
So we are now about 30% females within our organization, which is huge. It's really, really, yes, exactly, claps. But, being in the first 15, 20 people within our organization, there were not a lot of females. I would say that I was kind of the lone female for quite a bit of time. So it's been really important to me to not only encourage women to come into Redwood, but just to come into the industry, right? To really kind of see what supply chain is all about. And then once you get them into the industry, how do you build out that tenure? How do you keep them there, help them kind of find their trajectory or understand what their career path could look like? So at Redwood specifically, we spend a lot of time trying to build out mentor programs, we do Women in Logistics, which is an annual event that we try to get females from both inside the organization and outside to network. We bring in a panel of speakers and try to focus on what are kind of relevant topics, right? So, 2 years ago, everyone was at home, which I am now working in my kitchen still, and trying to balance life in general with your kids running by, right? And how do you do that? So we spend a lot of time really kind of narrowing in on those topics that are kind of like game changers for females in all industries right now, but how that kind of pertains to supply chain and how you can use that to your advantage. Outside of the organization, I am a member of Chief, which is a private membership networking organization for women, kind of in executive leadership roles. And it's really about trying to help create support systems and networking in all industries, not just supply chain. But it's really important. You hear a lot of great messaging there. They just had Sarah Blakely, who's the creator of Spanx, which I'm sure every female is aware of what that is. But come in and just kind of talk about what it's like to be in a power seat and what her career path looks like and where to stay focused. So I try to take stuff like that and bring it back into Redwood and just keep passing that message along. And maybe it's not the right industry for you, but I think if you're looking in the right places and putting your head down and doing the work, that it's a good place to be.
Definitely. We talk a lot about getting more women into that executive level. For someone like yourself who's really is getting there now, what do you think helped get you there, and what could others learn from your journey, whether it's maybe different mentors you've had or steps that you've individually have taken? How could they learn from you to get into these higher roles that someone like yourself is in today?
Well, I said before, keep your head down and kind of like work. I mean, that's always been my motto, right? Like you have to put in the effort to be able to get to where you are, male or female. I feel that way. I haven't had a ton of female mentors within my own organization, but I've had great support across the board, no matter what. And I think you got to take chances. You have to understand where you think you can be successful, understand what the qualities are you can bring to the table, and kind of know that balance where, I may be good at this, but could I do this and understand, but most importantly, take the chances, right? Ask the questions, try to be involved. The worst you're going to hear is no. And then, you can push the conversation there. And obviously that's definitely something that I do on a regular basis. Most people probably think I'm a little bit too outspoken at times, but I think it's really coming down to, do you want to move into that next role? How do you get to that next role? Do you understand what that next role entails? Things like that.
So speaking of next roles and next steps, what are you guys looking at at Redwood for some goals or some offerings maybe coming out later in 2022? What are you guys up to in the near-term future?
Oh goodness, I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of M&A coming up here, right? So, we have some big changes. We have some things that'll probably get announced here in the next couple weeks. We'll see. We need to really kind of focus in on sustainability, right? So there's some big thoughts around that. Redwood Connect, the next versions, right? The kind of like self-involved application versions are going to be rolling out here soon. So there's a lot of good stuff. Got to keep it a little hush hush somewhat, but I know that our path is on the right direction, I think, at this point, and we really are kind of focusing on where we think customers are going to find the best value.
Love that.
Sorry,
Any modes? Yeah, right. We just wanted all the Redwood tea. That's. Is there any offerings maybe that you're specifically looking to? I know that a lot of your M&A work in the past year has been more towards almost like parcels, smaller type of shipments. Is there any maybe markets that we could get some hint towards of like where you're looking at, or maybe you could improve on as well?
I mean, just with everything going on, it's so hard to predict anything, right? So, and that's, again, not to keep pushing on the LPAS idea, but I think that's why we find that such a great success, because we have the brokerage right behind us. We have all the digital API work behind it. We have all these really strong pieces supporting all of this internally. Obviously, Mexico, with everything going on in every other part of the world, so many customers are offshoring, right? Bringing things to Mexico and doing all of that. So that footprint for us has really, really grown in the last couple of years. To your point, we did make the parcel acquisitions, 2 of them last year, and that space has been significant for us. We've had some really great wins, kind of helping us partner with just the right shippers, evolving that solution here in the last couple months too. So I wish there was one specific thing that I could narrow it in on, but again, it's back to that whole idea of thinking about your entire supply chain and where do you need to go to make sure that you're getting the best ROI out of what you have. We can push technology all day because that is where things are going, but you still have to have those, kind of hands-on manual things behind the curtains type stuff too. So I wish I had a better answer there for you.
It's great. It's the holistic supply chain answer, which I think is what everybody needs to hear. Well, Emily, it's been an absolute joy having you on with us today. Thank you so much for being a guest on Great Quarter Gals. If people want to reach out to you, maybe learn a little bit more about Redwood, where can they go to do that?
So you can email me directly, which I'll share the information. Obviously, you can go to the Redwood Logistics webpage. You can connect through any of us on that webpage. I don't have a Twitter account, so I don't have a Twitter place for you to go. I'm not super social savvy. LinkedIn. That's my social platform.
And will we see you in Arkansas in a few weeks?
Yes, I will be there. Very excited. Very excited.
We're excited to have you as well. Thank you again so much for joining us. Great to have you as always, and we'll see you in Arkansas.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You too. All right, so we've also got to say a big shout out to Redwood, who has been an absolute instrumental part of putting on tons of virtual events here at FreightWaves. So thank you to them for their partnership as well and sponsorship of our virtual events. And Grace, speaking of virtual events, we're all hyped up for the Future Supply Chain, 19 days, Rogers, Arkansas. But we've got another one coming up this week before that. We've got the Net Zero Carbon Summit, touching on, as Emily mentioned, sustainability in the arena. I've got 2 fireside chats for this one, and I'm super excited about learning about it, especially because it's going to be on Earth Day. Are you excited, or do you have any involvement in this event as well?
Yeah, I have 2 fireside chats as well. One in particular is with One Tree Planet and Freightvana, which is going to be a great one. It's an interesting way of looking at a sustainability strategy, and that one should be really interesting. And another one with AIT Logistics, my favorites from back in the transmission days as well. Love Matt over there. He does such a good job with that company. And I think I'm just excited. I think Convoy, Dan Lewis, right, is going to be headlining that. Perfect for what they're working on and the initiatives that they're focused on. I mean, who doesn't love Earth Day? You know, that's the reason I love Michigan. It's going outdoors. The same way for you in Chattanooga, right? Like being able to enjoy this earth is one of my favorite pastimes. I love camping. Nothing else better than that. So this one is a way for my hobbies to mix with what I do for a living. So who doesn't love some content around Earth Day?
And speaking of Dan Lewis, who's our keynote speaker for that Friday's event, we've actually got some big news from Convoy getting ready to drop later on this week. You're going to be on with him on Freightwaves Now on Thursday morning, I believe. So make sure that you tune into that at 9 a.m. And then, Grace, what else are you working on for the week? Got anything exciting coming up?
Oh man, yes, we have a really fun announcement, more of a growth for a certain individual at a fintech company. That will be announced after today in a couple hours on my SiriusXM show, so I'm pumped about that. So check out that tonight. We have a couple of raises. It's funny, the first quarter was a little dead when it came to M&A and just raising funds in general, but we're a couple weeks into this one and it's already on fire. My inbox is exploding, so you'll probably be seeing a little bit more from me on Freightwaves Now than you have the last couple months.
Awesome. Well, we love having you. We'll catch up with you on Thursday this week at 9 a.m. on Freightwaves Now. Thank you guys for being with us on this Tuesday afternoon for Great Quarter Gals. We will catch you next week live at 3 p.m.
1, 2,